one fact that really surprised or shocked or mystified, whatever you, what would it be?
There are a number of amazing discoveries. I have to tell you that many people said you should write about this. And, you know, I'm getting gray. Who knows how much longer and whatnot. I said, I've got to, yeah. I spent 3 years. When I found out there are boxes and boxes of Hal Roach's business correspondence from 1914 through the 50s housed at USC, I said, I have to do this. And I researched every paper and learned so many things. I don't even know one to tell you how the studio actually fell apart at the end. Too many people are blaming his son. His son really tried hard, and his son had such ambitions to make it even better with television, but the son was associated with a real shady character, which is all described in the book.
Well, he predeceased his father by how many years?
Oh, he was in his early 50s. He took the brunt of the loss of the studio, and it really affected him emotionally. The son was a nice guy and really had great ideas, but he associated with the wrong people who were real crooks, let's put it that way. Okay, Laurel and Hardy. Do you know that Laurel and Hardy left Roach in 1940, and then Roach began his Streamliners, and he made a series of army comedies. They're very obscure, but I found a letter from one of the Roach executives writing to another saying, we tried to contact Laurel and Hardy, so you'll know Roach wanted Laurel and Hardy back after they had left, but by that time they had signed with Fox. So he had a couple of guys, Sawyer and somebody else, you know, couldn't match Laurel and Hardy. But imagine if Laurel and Hardy came back to the Roach Studios to do these Streamliners. History would have been different.
Yeah, the Streamliner version of Chump at Oxford we showed last year, and it would have been great if those had continued, because they were very breezy, only 45 minutes.
Yeah, but didn't you love the full-length version?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and in Europe and in South America, they loved Laurel and Hardy so much that they were longer, much longer than released in the U.S. for some reason.
One was a three-reeler, 30 minutes, and they extended it to an hour by sticking in vaudeville acts, including a magician. We've shown that one before. And it was really amazing.
They even combined two different shorts. What was it? What was the Laurel and Hardy Birthmarks and Laurel and Hardy Murder Case? So you had their train trip to the horrible, scary mansion.
Yeah.
To make a full movie. Yeah, a lot of clever editing there.
So how long would you say it took you to write the book from beginning to end?
Well, I wrote the first article, and based on the interviews in 1973, then every time I would talk with Mr. Roach, I'd add to my article. By the time he passed away, it was 75 pages long. In the very beginning of 2013 is when I began the research for this book. So another 3 years, practically.
And it's definitely a labor of love, then. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sacrificed a lot, you know. Anyway, it's done. This is the final version, and I'm proud of it.
Something to be very proud of. And I read almost all the reviews on Amazon. So, again, they're all just great. So,
thank you. Writing this, I thought of Mr. Roach. What would he think? I wanted to be fair and honest and accurate, and tell the truth. That's the kind of guy he was.
Yeah, I always liked him in his later interviews also on David Letterman and Jay Leno and stuff. He still had it. It was amazing.
He still had it.
Everybody remember his appearance on the Academy Awards shortly before his passing, and Billy Crystal introduces him in the audience, and he stands up and he starts talking, but there's no microphone anywhere to be found. So Billy Crystal goes, well, it's appropriate that Mr. Roach is silent since that's the type of films he started to.
Right. Oh, I really go into detail of how he was one of the first producers in Hollywood to convert to talkies. and how they went about doing that. It's quite fascinating. And of course, he was the first producer to convert his studio for television. He was a pioneer in many, many ways. Yeah.
And they filmed the Abbott and Costello show on the Hal Roach show.
Yes, they did. Lone Ranger was filmed there. Racket Squad was another one. Blondie, Trouble with Father. Oh yeah, he and his son was very instrumental in starting the television phase of his career.
We're all glad they embraced television. They did a lot of fine work on it. My Little Margie, too.
My Little Margie.
There's an episode where Margie and her friend are wandering around the Hal Roach studios.
Oh, I haven't
And you can
seen
recognize props and photos on the wall are actually from Laurel and Hardy films. So.
And you know, an episode of The Twilight Zone with Elizabeth Montgomery and who was the other guy? Do you remember?
Charles
Bronson. That was one of the last filming ever done at the Hal Roach Studios. It was already deserted.
Yeah.
They wanted a deserted looking set. Yeah.
Some man said that it was bulldozed in 60, what was it?
63.
3.
And the wonderful thing is, and I work, a gentleman named Ned Comstock is the librarian at USC. He's helped many, many film historians in their research. I said, Ned, there must be close to 70 big boxes of Hal Roach correspondence. I said, how on earth were these saved and preserved? He said, I'm going to look this up. Well, apparently they had a 4-day auction. You know, the Hal Roach Studios went into bankruptcy. They tried to continue it or sell it as a studio to others. It just didn't go. And some realtor wanted to just knock down all the buildings and put up something, a car dealership, eventually. At the last minute, the head auctioneer had his crew go in there and dump all the office papers in boxes before the bulldozer knocked the administration building down. And they wound up at USC, beautifully, you know, curated and everything. I had to go in a special reading room, you know, get my driver's license. I wouldn't get it back until I was done. They had a monitor there making sure I didn't swipe a paper or whatever, or mark anything up. But I spent a total of 2 years working on going through these papers. Now you can look on YouTube. There is a very distinguished English gentleman in a very elegant library setting talking about the scripts he has, Laurel and Hardy scripts. And he even says, and the rest of the Hal Roach papers were tossed into the street. And I'm here to say that's a lie. If you ever find that video.
It's a good sales point, though.
Right.
So, yeah. I've seen that as well. I also looked up Craig on YouTube and saw some commercials for FedEx.
I did one.
Yeah, right, which was hilarious. And also, he was on Mad Men, if anybody knows that show.
Mad Men.
So,
I was a background office guy.
yes.
You have to look fast.
Did you say if they wanted a distinguished-looking gentleman at the table in the meeting rooms, they also called you up and had you come in and do that? You'd sit at the table and have to look concerned.
Oh, that was, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a beard, I was making crazy comedy, and then I shaved it off. I had a very clean-cut, conservative look. I put on a suit and tie. I went to Central Casting. Next day, I get a call out of the blue. They want you on Mad Men, because I had that look, early 60s look. And I thought it was an episode of Mad Magazine. The Mad Magazine show. I thought it was, and they put me in a 64 suit and tie and said, go to the conference room. And I didn't have cable TV at the time. I didn't have TV at all. I was working on something else. I knew nothing about this series called Mad Men. So I had no idea when the stars of the show came and sat around me at the conference table. I was a stand-in, you know. I said, wow, what a bunch of good-looking stand-ins. Now, if Robert Morse had walked in, I'd have recognized him. But he wasn't there that day. But those were you know, Don Draper and all those people. And I think I was so casual, you know, I just thought they were my level stand-ins. So I was friendly, you know, casual. I think that's what allowed me to stay there for 4 seasons. Yes, 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 yes.
That was great.
That was really a privilege to work on that top-notch show.
All of us join in welcoming, thanking Craig for coming. He'll be at the table over there. Grab a copy of his book if you want. It's well worth it. And enjoy our refreshments. Non-alcoholic. Guzzler, a nice.